this is my prodigal story. As you see in the movie, I haven't really gotten to the truth behind the reason or inspiration behind this film, but I thought I will take this time to share that truth. And I'll start by saying, when I published my first book, first stage play, and now movie, I thought I was going to experience this rejuvenation, this freedom, but I didn't. I still felt bound emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and I kept asking God, like, why do I still feel like I'm bound? And he said, because you are, and you're not free. And so I've always been wondering, God, why is it that I'm going in circles? Year in, year out, I'm experiencing the same things over and over again. And if you see that I'm reading from a paper, it's actually because my thoughts were so much to share that I had to kind of jot them down. But for the past 3 years, I've been facing some of the most soul-trying situations, and I was making it through. But up until mid last year, I sort of hit rock bottom. I can say it was 3 years ago when God showed me a vision that he had for my life. It was 3 years ago when God actually showed me what he had planned for me, the purpose he called me to. And when he showed me that vision, my Christian journey actually had meaning. It had something more than just routine and just coming to church. But it was around that time where I had to take some time off from school due to some financial inabilities. And so I went into this state of depression. I was frustrated with the situation, not being able to afford college to be able to finish. I was just frustrated and angry. And it was in that moment that God actually showed me and spoke to me and gave me the vision for aladything. And amazingly, I ran with it. But I was angry because I didn't understand the way that God was structuring my life. I always thought, go to college, graduate with my degree, and balance ministry and have it all together. But that wasn't the case, actually. I didn't know that when God chooses you, it was going to come with a lot more than what I expected and actually envisioned. I was naive to the perks of being chosen, ignorant to what the cost would be. And the day I published aladything, I thought this is my breaking point, and I'm going to break through. No more struggling, no more financial drought. This was it. Things are going to change and turn for the better. But then reality hit me. Nothing changed. In fact, everything got worse. And they say the higher you go, the more challenging it will become. And I honestly thought that saying was for people who lack faith. I honestly did. Before I went into a few days ago, I was backsliding in my mind, and it was a place that I never thought that I would never come to. And I was driving my mother somewhere. So I was driving my mom somewhere, and when she came out of the car, she said to me that she loved me, and I didn't respond. I was angry. She closed the door, and I quickly drove off. And about a day or two later, as we were driving again, she told me, park the car so I can talk to you. And she said, I'm your mother. I know when something is wrong, and I don't know what's going on with you. She told me that, Bianca, you're distant, and I don't know what's on your mind. Then she started to say to me, other than that, when I dropped you off, or when I dropped her off, she said when she turned and looked at me, it was as if she was looking at her daughter, She said my grandmom is a very deep discerner, and she told me that when she looked at me, my eyes were bloodshot red, and that I looked like, like a zombie, or something that wasn't of what she was used to seeing when she looked at me. And when she told me that, I became so frightened, and I was like, I started wondering, okay, what was wrong with me? And she said to me that you're the dangerous place, and she started to talk to me. She said, you're bitter and you're angry, and it's showing in your eyes. And the minute she told me that, I was so frightened, I immediately started to question God, say, okay, God, show me what to do. I don't want to mess up. I don't want to end up in a place I can't come back from. And so she was right. I've been angry for so long. So that night afterwards, she spoke to me. I went to the bathroom, and I just sat there and I cried, and I prayed to God. And I cried so hard. And I said to myself, how is it that, I've been fasting so much, but yet I still feel so bitter and angry. And if I'm going, and it's like I'm going in circles. But before my mom had that conversation with me, before that, I had, stopped going to youth service for, quite some times. I tried to skip Sunday services, but, my mom wouldn't allow me. When I did come to church, I felt so distant and so far from God, and I couldn't feel His presence the way I used to. And I would sit in the service, just sit in the back. I felt comfortable there. And for the first time in my life, I felt what it felt like to sit in a service and not feel God, or listen to a preacher and not feel moved or compelled to even walk to the altar, even though the sermon is for you. I took some time away, and I intentionally started to ignore what I was hearing in the sermons, and when altar call came, not to mention altar call, I'll pick and choose when I go. And when I would go to the altar, I had no words to say to God, nothing to pray. I would just kneel there, just crying, saying, God, I don't know what to say to you. So it's like I'm standing in front of a choir, I'm leading praise and worship with all these condemned feelings, my mind couldn't stop going. It's like I know what it feels for a sinner to be in church and want to actually come to Christ, but they're encumbered with all the thoughts of what they've done, the guilt, the fear. Will God even accept what I say right now? Would He even hear me? Would He even forgive me? And these are all the thoughts that were going through my mind. And this is happening. I'm singing on the choir, and I'm wondering, okay, if I lift my hands, my thoughts are going in all these negative directions. And I knew it was the devil, but at that moment, or at this moment, I couldn't. And this was the first time of my life where church and the routine of church was not working for me. And I say that very carefully, because I'm not saying anything about religion, but I'm saying the idea of coming to church, hearing the choir sing, hearing the preacher sing. For the first time in my life, I can sit in a service and I can have no connection to what's going on. And once I leave these four walls and I go home, it's like, in my mind, I'm thinking none of that is helping me right now. The preaching, praying, reading the Bible, fasting, I'm thinking none of that is working for me. None of that is helping me get out of the situation that I'm currently in. And so I started to just have all these negative thoughts in my mind that's going and going. And I couldn't come out of it. I couldn't shake myself out of it. And that was the problem. I was going deeper into these negative thoughts and all these feelings. And it got so bad that I started questioning my standards and my beliefs. And I started thinking, there are girls in the world out there who are doing every and anything with their lives, and they seem to have the better end. And they have girls like me, or girls like who are actually living for Christ and actually doing what it takes to live this life, to continue on this journey, but we get the bitter end. And I was just thinking real hard on that, and basically I'm asking God, why is it that you have me going through this? And I started so confused. I started believing that maybe my religion was designed to bound me. I started thinking maybe religion has lied to me, and maybe this whole setup and where my life is set up, it is just a facade and a fake. And maybe I'm not even really connected to Jesus Christ because I'm so blocked and hindered by religious expectations and rules and regulations and traditions. And these are all thoughts that are going through my mind during this state. And I didn't even care about losing my job. By this time, I was in such a deep depression that getting to work early was a struggle. So it's only God why I was able to even maintain that job. But getting up and going to work, I couldn't even get up in the mornings. I was so heavy. Getting up in the mornings became difficult. When I get up, it felt like I had an entire load, like just resting on me. And it was a fright to get up and keep going and keep moving. So when I realized how bad things were getting, I decided to go on a 40-day fast, just like that. Because I started to scare myself now, because I'm saying I've never been to this place where what I once believed isn't working for me, or where my beliefs aren't working for me or aren't helping me. And so I got scared and I jumped up and went on this 40-day fast. I was very brave with that. But while I was doing the fasting, I completed it. I completed 40-day fasting, but things only got worse. And not with my situation, but in me. Everything that I was feeling only maximized and grew and increased. And one thing I've learned is that if you're fasting with iniquity in your heart, yes, you're fasting, but whatever's in your heart while you're fasting, that's what's going to be maximized. That's what's going to increase. If I'm fasting with iniquity in my heart, then iniquity is going to increase. So that's why you have to cleanse out before you actually go into fasting, which is something I did not do. So I was angry at the end of the 40 days. I didn't get any breakthrough. I didn't feel different. I felt worse. Then the month of fasting came around. I decided I wasn't going to fast for that. I just came out of 40 days prior to the new year. So a next month of fasting would not do me any good. And I was coming to prayer meetings, and I would just kneel. I have nothing to say. No prayer, nothing to say, nothing to communicate. I just literally I would come in and kneel and just literally just be lost in thought. Then I would get up, go back to my seat, go through the doors, and that would be the same routine, And I was coming because, my mother would not allow me to stay home during this time and during this emotional state that I was in. And, my anger became so bad. I slipped into this state of profanity where only I could express myself was through profane words, profane thoughts. And when people just ticked me off, I would just slip into that anger and things come out of my mouth that shouldn't be coming out of my mouth. And I realized that I was at a bad place, but I could not find that strength to actually come out of it or do what it takes to actually change. And during this time, this is when I'm actually writing the script for The Prodigal Daughter. I can't wrap my mind around that situation, how I was able to get this out of me at the same time be going through it. This was the place I was in when my mother approached me that day and spoke to me in the car. And what made it worse was that during this entire stage and this emotional down, no one noticed. No one noticed. And so I was going through it alone, and not that I opened up about the situation or this down place I was currently in, but when I looked at it, I realized I went through this, and it was like no one even noticed that, Bianca was out of it for months. No one noticed that, I'm in church and I couldn't feel God anymore, or I was missing for some Sundays or some X amount of times. And I became angry because I'm saying that what would it take for my church or for anybody to realize that I'm in a war with my soul? Or what would it take for someone to notice that I'm struggling, or that I'm on a path that's destructive? And I started to wonder, would it take me walking into my church with, makeup on, red lipstick, my hair color changed, walking here looking physically different from the standards that define me or define my church? And I'll say, would it take that for someone to notice that, that I'm dying spiritually, or that I've mentally given up? And even if you don't see me, even if people did assume something or think that, something's wrong with Bianca, did they even have the courage, or they didn't even take the courage to actually approach and say, or take a phone and call? And so that's where in the movie there's a line that says, the reason why people leave in church is because black people refuse to speak up.
No, I won't stop. The reason why so many people are leaving church is because the right people refuse to speak up.
And I think that's a vital point. And so when I was going through this, and I became even more bitter at the fact that no one noticed. And not that I was good at even expressing where I was at the time, but it was at a place where you can't really tell anybody. It's a more like you wish somebody would see it and come to you and help you and understand where you are. And so, after my mom spoke to me, I started to cry. She said, your eyes are, because you're discerning through the spirit, she said, your eyes are bloodshot and red. And when I look at you, I don't see Bianca. I see like a different spirit, like that's overtaking you. And of course, with fear of that, I immediately started to cry and pray to God and say, God, as much as I'm in this low place, I don't really want to lose my soul. I don't really want to end up at a place I can't come back from. But God, at this moment in my life, I can't help myself. At this moment in my life, I don't have the strength and the drive to actually move from this mental state. And so I started to pray and ask God, what is it that's hindering me? What is it that's keeping me in this place of anger and bitterness? A place where I can't grow. I'm stuck in one place and can't, I'm going through the same cycle year in, year out. And God started to show me that, I had a lot of people and things and experiences blocked up in my heart that I never really let go of. So, and those things were overpowering me. And for the past 3 years, those things have built up, and they have sort of created a chain. And they say it takes time for someone to fall. So all these years of holding in all these emotions and these experiences that have hurt me and have caused me to think a certain way, it has come to the point where it has overpowered me and overwhelmed me. And so God started to show me what was in my heart. And when he started to show me, I started to cry. And I said, okay, God, what do you want me to do? And he started to, before I even asked him what to do, I asked him to show me, because right now I don't remember what I'm even angry about or what I'm bitter about. It's been so long. I said, so God, show me, what am I angry about? Uproot all of those things I can see, and I can better fix, repent, and do what I have to do to make it and to stay in you. And he started to show me that, I was angry so much. I think when I wrote it out, I had probably 20 plus things that was named out that so far that I know that I had to get out of my system. People who have hurt me, situations who have that hurt me, things. And I was angry at my financial situation. I was angry at my church, and I was angry at church people, church folks who disrespected me. I was angry at youth leaders, and I was angry at my pastor, my first lady. I was angry at my friends. I was angry at my mother. I was angry at every married man in church whoever once made a sexual gesture towards me inappropriately. And God showed me that I was bitter. Not to mention, I was angry at my father, for not being in my life the way I thought he should have. And so God showed me that I was carrying this resentment. And I said, God, I'm not angry. I've been dealing with people. I've communicated with guys. I've communicated with people. And it was not until he showed me when I come in certain environments how I just get this hot red sensation when certain people come around me, when I walk in certain environments. And he said, that's where the anger is. In a minute a particular guy walks up to you, I just get this hot red feeling like I don't want to be in his presence. Or the minute I walk into a certain environment, I get that same sensation. And God said, that's what's blocking you. That anger. And I was angry at people who literally spit in my my family's face. It's so much. And as God revealed it to me, I'm saying, how was I able to carry on this for so long? And it was because I thought that when it happened, I would just brush it off and move on, but I never actually talked about it or dealt with it. So I've been carrying all this rage and this bitterness for people who probably are not even in my life anymore. And I was angry at so many people, or I am angry at so many people and so many things. And then when I realized I'm going through all of this and no one noticed, I became even more angry at my leaders for not preparing me for this stage of my life. I felt unprepared, and I sort of blame my church for that unpreparedness. And it was so much, and I'm not saying I'm out of this place, because God is still showing me, and He's still showing me more things that I'm holding on to. But these were some of the things that were keeping me bound. And I told God that, I don't want to be this way anymore, because I realized that it's hindered me. It's already been 3 years, and I'm still in the same place. And see, the thing about holding on to all of this is that it reprograms your mind, the way you think. Now when you see certain people, you have a complete and a quick defense mechanism that goes up. And all the fasting I thought I was doing was actually increasing these feelings in me. So my heart became blocked up. And I started to wonder, why I can't feel that happiness anymore, that drive and passion that used to get me here, get me to church, and get me throughout my entire day. And so as soon as God showed me all of this, and when He's continuing to show me, I started to cry. I started to break down. And I realized that through all of this, I lost my happiness. I lost the joy. I lost the passion that that I once had, and I lost that, that drive. I think that pushes you to keep going and keep moving. Because actually right now, I can't fathom how I'm not where my emotions are leading me. But that's only God. But I want my happiness back. I want that passion back. I want to be able to get out of bed in the mornings and actually want to live and actually want to inspire people and be around people. I actually want to have that strength back. That strength that makes you feel like you can overcome anything. That strength that makes you know that despite what you're going through, God is with you. I want my mind back. And most of all, I want my heart back. When I'm with my friends, I'm observing where I'm acting around family and friends. I'm saying, this is not me. I'm normally this energetic, optimistic, confident, sociable person, but this experience has had me in a box where I don't want to hang out with my friends right now. I don't want to be around family too much. I just want to be alone, and which is not safe, because if it wasn't for my mom's pushing me and friends constantly pushing me and God constantly pushing me, then I think I'll probably be at a more worse state than I am now, because my feelings definitely derail me. But right now I am in the process of just cleansing out and forgiving. And God has shown me the first step in doing that. He had me just write a letter to, since writing is a channel that sort of tends to be easier for me to communicate through, he had me write letters to everyone I can think of that I thought hurt me, that I felt offended by. It was a lot of letters to write. And so this process is not easy, but I feel that God is, He's freeing me little by little. The more I do it, sometimes I doubt whether it's even working, but I know that's the devil, so I try to still do it. And this is where I'm at, and I thought I would have an honest moment, because I realized that the reason why I have been bound is because I haven't opened up, and in writing a book, writing a stage play, I realized that God has been communicating with me through those writings, but I haven't seen it. I thought those writings were for other people, yes, but I didn't really think in depth that it was for me first, especially the idea behind the mirror for my soul. I'm looking at the mirror for my soul right now, and it's not a pretty look. And God asked me the question in the morning, is it well with your soul? And I really thought deep about that question. If God should come now, where would I even be? And so I've been thinking, and most of all, my desire is to make it to the kingdom of God. And so I thought I would share this honest moment to let you know that the Prodigal Daughter is a story not just for me, but for those who are experiencing a similar moment in their life where they're wondering, where church isn't working for you, religion seems not to be doing. Religion has sort of failed in its in upholding its end of the bargain, because we're supposed to be focusing and helping people to be delivered. We're actually helping to keep them bound. We're supposed to be a place where we people get saved. People are now hurt because of so many reasons, where this is supposed to be the place where people come for healing, people come to be delivered, but instead we've somehow diverted from Christ and the idea behind the cross. But don't have much advice to give because
Could never keep my weary heart from
this is the process for me. So I don't have the answers. I don't know the answers. I'm just trusting God to bring me through.
save myself.
But I would say
Coming to my
God
rescue.
can definitely preserve you, even when you don't want to be kept.
And when my
God can
strength has
definitely
failed,
keep you.
the story I will tell is how your love refused to leave me on my own when I couldn't save myself. No. Oh. I'm sure you spent a lot of time just waiting